Joining us this morning, County Commissioner Dan Claypool. Danny, how you doing?
Great, great. It's nice to be out in this heat wave and
yeah. Did that cold weather cause any problems with the county?
Caused a lot of problems for me, but personally, it's just hard to get out into that cold weather. But no, I think we're pretty robust here in Northeast Ohio, and
I mentioned
used to it.
I mentioned the other day, Dan, that for the first time in a long time, if ever, I think it was Tuesday when we had that really bad. It affected me bad. I have arthritis and stuff, and it just went right through me. I didn't feel good, that day. I stayed in the house most of the time.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the older we get, the more that temperature.
Oh, absolutely.
My mother and father used to tell me that, and I never really believed them. But now
you were young.
You're right.
Danny, of course, in our area here has been that injection well story, and I know behind the scenes you've been working on this. We wanted to have you in to see what you have, any updates, and what your thoughts are.
We've sort of went back and forth with the state since they took the local people's rights away for siting these wells and different things back in 2004. I was a township trustee and president of the Township Association when they did that. But never did I think that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources would absolutely ignore the local people in anything that they would want to add, or at least they would want to say about that. But that's what's happened in this particular case, and also a case in Windsor where they want to expand a well bank. And originally, the county commissioners, when we found out about it, we asked for public hearings. And just to hear what the Ohio Department of Natural Resources had to say about these wells and what exactly the capacities were going to be and things like that, and then allow the local people to have their input on this. If you're a neighbor or you have land around one of these wells, I really believe that you should have the right to at least voice your opinion on whether you want that well there or not.
Sure. And
they just ignored us. And we finally got a hold of our state representative, who was also working on this.
Right.
And all they did is they forwarded him an email that said that they have sole discretion. And they pointed out the section in the law that they have sole discretion on where these wells get placed. And at that time, they said that they were not aware of any complaints or anything that were filed against the wells. We had just asked for public hearings. So at that point, we actually filed objections to both wells.
Danny, well, why is it? And John Patterson told me the same thing. He was here Monday. That they don't acknowledge our city, our county, and state officials. I don't understand.
Is this about money?
This is all about money, and this is all about this state's and I'll say it, this administration's attitude of ignoring local governments. When they take your money away, they do those things that have been in place for years and years and years. There's no response to that, and it's just.
We need to do something about this, because
that's this administration's forte, is it just ignores the local people and their concerns. It's
unbelievable.
Just, no matter what they may be. But this well, we already have 15 injection wells operated in Ashtabula.
What's your past experience with those things?
I have 2 within 3 miles of my house. As a township trustee, I remember a time when the wells, the operators, and this was not a local operator, it got so bad they actually had to pull a truck up to one of our back township roads with the bulldozer. There's a lot of heavy truck traffic. Now, I don't smell these wells, and I've been around that area for 20 years, but there's a lot of heavy truck traffic that goes on at those wells. And I'm not an expert, but I've read different things about the dangers of those wells and what they put into those wells. I was involved in the earthquakes in Ashtabula Township. I was at the EMA office when that happened, and I worked with a professor from Columbia University that explained the process, at least in that injection well, and what was happening and why we were getting the earthquakes. But my real concern is I don't know why the state of Ohio wants to make Ashtabula County a dumping ground for the rest of eastern United States. If there's nothing wrong with this solution that they put into the wells, I don't understand why the state of New York and the state of Pennsylvania don't do it themselves.
Right.
But they don't. It's a premium to bring it here to Ohio. You know, if we take Ohio water and Ohio solutions, it's 5 cents a barrel. If we take West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, it's 20 cents a barrel. So it's a moneymaker for the state of Ohio. The locals see nothing of that. And I believe that that's why this site was chose, because it's so close to Interstate 90. I can't say that for sure because we've never had an opportunity to air that out, because we've never had that option of having a public hearing. But I went to the Conneaut City Council and I listened to the gentleman that is the well owner, or is proposing this well, and I just believe that the people who live in this area or have to live around those wells should have some voice in where they're placed. Now they're placing them inside an incorporated area, inside a city. You know, this can go anywhere inside the city. It just so happens it's going there. But this is any city in Ohio, you know, and they just totally disregard any input from the local communities.
We got an email from Tim Eggleston, our city manager, here last week, and he sent it to all parties concerned. You may have even gotten it, but it said basically that an attorney had advised, and I can't remember where he was out of, had advised the city that if you pursue this, you're liable, you could get sued, and that's the way it is set up right now, where we don't stand a chance really to knock this out. It's just not enough time.
Well, Dan, what recourse is there? Is there anything that could be done?
Not really.
Other than we're going to make a lot, you know, we're going to make the people in Columbus hear us. One way or the other, we're going to make them hear us.
For down the road, right?
I don't think that there's anything, the way the law is written, because this is like a fast track now for these oil well companies, you know, and I don't know what the state has done to increase the capacity of inspecting these wells. It was before we had one inspector for the entire district.
Right.
And, you know, that was one of our concerns that we voiced early on in this well process of even drilling, that our local people needed more input. It will be our emergency responders that will respond to any emergencies at these sites, and they have a right to know what they're going into.
Absolutely.
And the state's response was, geez, we'll give you that information as you need it. Well, that could be hours, that could be days after an emergency.
Sure.
These emergency responders are there within minutes. They have a right to know immediately what they're going into and what they're dealing with. And it's just this total disregard for local need to know and local input into this type of a thing.
Isn't the EPA involved? And if not, why aren't they?
No, because the way the legislators have written this law is that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Gas and Oil Division is totally in charge and has sole discretion.
Even over the EPA's.
Well, over oil and gas well drilling and disposal in the state
It's a
of
lot
Ohio.
of power.
Well, it is, and it is, and
Wow.
like I said, where I live, it's more rural, you know, and so there's wells there. But I'm really concerned. You know, this gets back into the Chesterland, Ohio case, where they placed a well right into a residential area, and the people there had no input into it. You know, here it is, the city of Conneaut, inside a city, and the city council, the county government, or even now our state representatives have absolutely no input into this whatsoever, and it's just wrong. I just.
What about your wife and yourself being that close to those wells? Does that affect you at all? I mean, as far as there's nothing.
It doesn't, because they've been there for a number of years, and we get used to it. You know, we sort of get used to it. Like I said, we live out in the rural areas,
right?
And maybe that's a more proper place for them. But you know, at what point is enough enough?
Well,
you know,
here's the
we
thing.
have 15 wells in our county. You know, how much fluid are you going to put into our grounds? One of our major industries is agriculture. We depend on agriculture.
Right.
You know, we depend on our farmers, and you know, what are we doing to all this by putting all this solution into this ground that didn't come from here?
You know what's scary, and Steve, you know where I live. I live next to a pretty big allotment of nothing. There's no homes on it, you know. So I mean, they're not. That's not saying that they couldn't do that in that area. If they
Theoretically, yeah.
They could do this anywhere, and the local governments or the local people, local safety forces would have no knowledge of it until.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, Dan, you says, well, we're going to, Ashtabula County's going to be heard about this, which they should be. What exactly does that mean? You send them a letter
Yes,
to
we are
the...
going to stay on our state government until they at least give us this opportunity to be heard. I'm not saying that we can change the course of what's going to happen. I'm saying that, our next step is to write to the chief of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. If he doesn't hear us, then we're going to go on farther if we have to take it right to the governor. And this is an election year for the governor, and we'll make our voice be heard.
I think the Monroe Falls case is in the Supreme Court now.
It's supposed to be heard this month, I think.
In February, I believe,
Or
and
next
that should shed some light, hopefully, on where we're going with this thing. But I just think it's a travesty that.
Well, that's interesting, because if that case is going to be heard next month, as you know, and if they rule in favor of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, does that mean we're just out of luck and might as well not even try to be heard?
I don't know. I don't think you ever give up trying to be heard. I really think that the people in Columbus, whether they believe it or not, are elected by the people of Ashtabula County.
That's right.
And they need to hear our concerns. I know we're a long ways from Columbus, but maybe we have to speak loud enough to do that.
Wow. All right, let's switch caps here a little bit, and we got a report at council the other night that the recycling bins could be coming back April, maybe?
April 1st. We hope to have them in operation the first part of April. We're going through the bidding process and things like that right now, so April is our target.
Somebody told me that the containers now will have a smaller hole in them where you can't be throwing illegal, I don't know if it's illegal, the wrong stuff in these bins, and there are newer bins. Is that
they're going to be a different type of container? I can't tell you exactly what they're going to look like.
Why did we discontinue it?
Because of the cost, and it got so it wasn't a recycling center any longer. It was a dump.
Yeah.
And we went over that once before, and anybody that went around those, I dealt with the recycling center there on Lake Road. With I think it was Donna.
Donna Powlowitz.
Yes, had worked with us, and it was just she used to send me pictures on Monday morning, and we were doing these pulls on these containers like once a day, and that was over $200 a day, to pull these containers, but there was no recycling potential there because they were all contaminated with garbage, and once you contaminate that, then they just go to the dump.
Yeah.
Now these, we're going to change our supplier, so it's called One Stream, so there's a separation process, so it's not going to be quite as particular as what we were doing before, but these are really recycling centers, and a lot of people are committed to recycling, and the other people should respect that.
Yeah. Dan, we've got a notification also from our city manager that we have no salt, and as of this morning, we still have no salt. I guess there's a shortage going on. Does that cause any problem with you guys?
It doesn't with us, and I only say that because our county engineer takes care of that, and as far as I know, we're okay with salt. He's not given us any notification that we're on a different path. Now, he does a mixture of sand and salt, so, but we don't have the storm sewers in a lot of places and things to deal with that the cities do. So there are different problems and different ways of dealing with it.
Yeah,
but he does a lot of mixing.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're going to use tomorrow. Didn't they say grits and gravel or something? Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to ask the commissioner there. The ODNR has more than one division. They have the Parks Division, Watercraft, so on and so forth. Do you know which division is inspecting these wells, or?
The Oil and Gas Division.
Oh, they have another division.
They have the Oil and Gas Division. It is specifically designated to work with the drilling and the wells of Ohio.
Now, the state of Ohio that the ODNR has, don't they have enough state property to take care of their own well stuff and have their own inspectors look? It's not fair to the people here. If we do what they're doing, they'd arrest us. We wouldn't be allowed to do what they do. We wouldn't get a permit. But it seems to me that they have enough property. If they really want the money, they can put it on their property. There's Parks Division. I mean, there's way back and say in the woods or whatever, where nobody would see it, know it, or even really wouldn't care because it wouldn't be residential. I worry about it because it's not like you say, it's agricultural.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to buy corn or asparagus or green peppers off somebody's got a well on that property? Not that, I have no idea what's in there. Nobody does.
Now, isn't that where they're putting it, sir? That's in a wooded area, right? So you really wouldn't see it, would you?
No, but that doesn't mean that it can't move or leach or...
No, that's the problem.
To my understanding, this well is relatively close to the Conneaut Creek.
Correct.
And, that's just, Ashtabula County people have worked very, very hard to ensure that Conneaut Creek stays as pristine as what it is.
Right.
And,
Well, you don't want it to get out that our perch fishing is being poisoned by a well because the water will end up in Lake Erie. It's not good for anything that I can see. I mean, the only good point about the whole thing is the other state's got a place to get rid of their garbage.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, we unless you can get an excise tax to fix the roads or so much per truck, a little bit of income or something like that. It's not fair all the way around. It's not fair.
Okay.
And what you can do about it, I wish I knew, because I tell you right now.
Well, they're trying. They're really trying.
Well, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the comments, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Got this from Dave Campbell, former First Ward Councilman here, in reference to these injection wells. Currently, other cities such as Monroe Falls, Mansfield, and Athens are combating the efforts to prevent these injection wells from entering their cities. My question is, are there any plans of any Ashtabula County officials to meet with the leaders of these cities to compare legal strategy and or combine their efforts to stop these wells?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, at this point, we're trying to work with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to find out what exactly is going on. Again, like I said, we're going to continue with this process until we get heard. Now, if that's joining in with other people or talking to them, I'm more than willing to do that.
Whatever works.
Yes.
Sure.
Very good. Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm wondering if the commissioners have contacted Mansfield, Athens, Ohio, or Monroe Falls.
Well, you just answered that. You just answered that question.
What did he say? I didn't hear it.
Go ahead.
No, we really haven't talked to them. We've been working with our state representative. We have been working with, we've been trying to talk to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to get them to come up here and listen to the citizens of our county. That's what our real focus is right now. We're going to continue this process, and if in fact it takes joining with other people, then that probably is what we will do, because it's the Board of Commissioners' idea that we're going to continue on with this until we at least get heard.
Well, I know that there are websites, and also I think the commissioners should contact these cities to know what they've done. And Pat, you keep saying that if we do something that it could cause a large lawsuit. Well, we have a law director, and that's what she does for the city, is to handle lawsuits. And I think that that's wrong what that attorney's saying. I doubt that he is giving an opinion on this particular case. I also want to know, are the commissioners going to have a hearing if the state doesn't approve one, so that people can voice their opinion?
Other people have asked me that, and that's a good question. At this point, though, the county commissioners are absolutely powerless in doing anything, and I don't mind having a hearing to let people vent, but there could be nothing more come out of that by us holding this hearing, because we have no regulatory power over these at all. And
well, actually, I was told by the other cities that in order to have input and standing, should we go forward with this, that it's important to have a videotape of the meeting of a hearing to have people voice their opinions.
I would agree if you had people there that have the authority to regulate this. You have to have them in the room. Just to sit around the room and everybody vent, I would agree with most of the people in that room, probably in a lot of what they say. But that still doesn't get us anywhere other than just we all sit around the room and we've been on the oil and gas industry. And it doesn't really prove anything. We have to get to those people who actually make the decisions in this regulatory process. And right now they're being shielded.
I know that Teresa Mills was able to shut down a chemical process in Columbus, Ohio. And if you contact her, she said she would come to a hearing to talk about what is happening. She's working with other cities. And if you would invite her, and also Anthony Ingrassia comes to places, he comes and talks about the injection wells. All we've had on the cable access TV, we have it 2 times a day, is what the ODNR says about how great injection wells are. We need to have people come to present the other side so the community can know what is happening. Also, there's House Bill 148. You can go on the net, put in Ohio, ban Ohio injection wells, and there are petitions on there that you can sign. They are hoping to have a hearing on banning injection wells in the state of Ohio.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Now, we were talking about, the phone keeps ringing here. Hi, you're on the air.
Good morning, Pat. Hey, this is Earl.
Hi, Earl.
Gentlemen. How deep is those wells? How far down do they go?
This one's the deepest, I think, of any of them.
This is, I want to say this is over 6,000 feet. I'm not quite sure, but there are different wells and different depths.
Oh, okay.
But I think this gentleman, if my memory serves me correct, and sometimes it doesn't, but I think he said it was in the 6,000 foot range.
Yeah, I think it was 57, 58,
close to
something.
6,
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not really that deep, especially if you look at the elevation of where they're putting it. And I understand that to be under a lot of pressure, they said. So, you know, eventually that stuff they're putting in the ground's got to find a way to, you know, expand. And it could get into a tributary where it could leak into the lake and into the Cognac Creek. So that is the part that really concerns me, is that, boy, this town has been a nice town and a nice area to live in, and we're sometimes forgotten by the news and everything else, but to bring this type of a thing into Conneaut, and I'm just concerned of the elevation. You know, 6,000 feet is not, you know, that's a little over a mile, and so that's not really that deep.
The other thing, Earl, that you should be concerned about also is because you live in a prime area where there's a lot of land that's open, and they can put these things over there. They can put them on in my neighborhood, which, I mean, it's scary.
Well, they're signing. They were around here wanting me to sign for a well over here in the woods, but it's I don't know if it was gas or what, but they said that it would go underneath our property, so they would pay some type of money, but she never did actually come back. I didn't want to sign it at first, and then I thought, well, you know, they said we can do it anyhow without your permission. We're just trying to let you get in on it for some kind of a
royalty,
small fee a year, you know, depending on how the well's supposed to be, like 5 years. The last 5 years at the most. So we would be paid. It wasn't hardly anything. But I'm just concerned about all this stuff, because all these other states that's moving, they don't want it, and Ohio's taking it, and it's just not right. We should have, as citizens of this state, have a say in this, because it's like government taking over and dictating to us what they're going to do. When Patterson was at that meeting there, I was, kind of concerned. He was very blunt and says there ain't nothing you can do about it. Well, you know what? He needs to get on the ball as the other people in this state. We are the people, and I think that if all the counties got together and says, listen, we want to stop it.
Well, what he was doing basically was just reporting what he had gotten. He's not for it.
Oh no, I know he's not,
Yeah.
but he's it was very blunt. I mean, coming basically from the state, that there isn't a whole lot we can do about it. I'm not saying it was him, but
Go ahead, Dan.
Earl, I think what we do have to say, though, in defense of this oil and gas drilling, it's been going on for years, and it is all not bad. You know what I mean? There are a lot of good things that have come and are coming from this gas and oil drilling. So I don't want to say that I'm against this whole oil and gas drilling. It's just my belief, and I think the biggest thing that would offend me is the people do not have a right to voice their concerns in their local areas. I think that's the biggest thing, and I'm not opposed to taking our waste from our wells. I do agree with the gentleman on the phone that we should not be taking the waste from Pennsylvania and New York because they think it's bad and they don't want to have it. I agree with the gentleman on the phone there, and I think those are the big issues. Is the oil and gas industry has been around for years, and I hope they thrive. There are some people in our county that have done very, very well off some of these oil and gas leases, and I'm really glad for them. And we need the oil and gas to survive. But I just think there's a right way to do it, and I just think that the people of our county are not being respected at all when they're not even going to be heard.
Exactly. Well, I'm just, I don't have nothing against the gas. We need to drill for that, but these injection wells are a little bit different than, we're just taking waste from these wells and then pumping it. And when you listen to how many trucks are going to go in there and dump their stuff, wow, that's a lot. I can't hardly believe that the earth can absorb that much. So, well, I won't hold you on here, so you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Earl. Have a nice
Earl.
weekend. Okay, time's running out here. Dean, we've touched on a lot of stuff here this morning. Anything else going on that we should know about?
Probably the thing that you'll hear about the most is the county's getting ready to finalize its budget.
Okay.
And, we held a meeting with our elected officials, and, we're okay. What I mean? I don't think that you're going to see, large cuts or things like that.
No major controversies.
Right.
Or,
So I just, we have just about the same amount of money as what we had last year. So,
Good.
We didn't grow a lot, but we're not going backwards.
You're hanging in there.
And that's better than a lot of communities. So.
We'll take one more phone call. Hi, you're on the air.
Morning, Pat. Good morning, Steve.
Hi,
Good morning,
Tom.
Dan.
Hi, Tom.
My comment is, I agree with what Dan was saying about the injection wells. We need to have gas and oil industry, and we should be able to take care of our own stuff, but not other states. And I just wonder what would happen if you tried to put one of them injection wells in Cleveland or Akron or one of the bigger cities. What would they say about that?
They had one in Youngstown, and look what happened.
Yeah. So my other point is about the recycling bins and so forth. Could there possibly be a situation where they could take these spare tires that are being thrown all over the countryside and drop them off, because they do ended up being taken care of by the cities in the county when we do our cleanups around, like in the county for cleanup and so forth. We haul these things over to the city, and the city takes care of them. So instead of these people throwing them all over the county and end up having to pick them up again, would there be possibly, I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I'm just throwing it out there, that they could bring these darn tires someplace and, instead of just throwing them on the side, put them in a third spot.
Well, the county did that for a number of years until the money got a little tight. That we actually did. We held an annual tire pickup center there. We did it at the fairgrounds, and there were semi-loads of tires every year. I used to go over and throw the tires. And there were semi-loads of tires that people brought in.
Yeah, but I'm saying a central location like next to these bins, because they're just throwing them all over the city anyways.
Right.
And I mean, and then they have to be re-picked up by somebody else to have that done, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just I mean, I was talking to Pat a while back about a spot. I live on Woodard Road. It's a rural area, and there must be 30 tires down in this little creek where these people dump them every year at night when nobody's around. So that was my suggestion. I'm going to let you go because I know you're in a hurry.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Dane, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Got
It's
a lot
always
of
my
phone
pleasure.
calls, and
Thank you.
I knew you probably
Yeah.
would today, but come back and see us next month if you can.
Okay, thank you very much.